It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Well, we're back with Glenn Boblitz, and we are talking about what today, my friend?
Oh, spring has sprung. You know, I see the jonquils are coming up. I see it out in the orchard, the buds are starting to swell up. That tells us everything's coming, though it don't act like it.
I know.
Had one or two warm days, and, you know, we all go crazy and stopped at one of the big box store places and seen trees out everywhere, so it must be coming soon.
Well,
seems like they're getting earlier and earlier with the trees every year.
Oh, really?
Which is a good thing because, you know, they get going pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
I usually order my stuff through a different supplier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to call these people out and give them credit for.
Right.
But I have bought from Home Depot and Lowe's trees, and they do have some fairly large trees.
Do they?
And they're not bare root, you know, because you take about 80% success rate with bare root when you order trees like that. But, you know, they're a big organization, and they're in it for the profit and not for the quality. So you get what you get.
Yeah.
I've had some good success and some not so good. So it's a 50-50 shot. But so that's what we're kind of talking about this morning is just, you know, if you're going to look ahead a little bit and go, I think I'd rather grow my own food than to buy it somewhere with pesticides all over it. My wife just informed me we can't have bread anymore in the house because they did a test on all the breads, all the major brands of breads.
Right.
And the level of glyphosate, Roundup,
really
is going through the roof because it's made of wheat. So they spray the Roundup to keep the weeds down, and the plant sucks it up, and now it's in the grains, and they grind the grain and put it in the bread, and then you eat it.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat no more Roundup.
No.
So that doesn't leave a whole lot of options. If you start really looking around how much that stuff is in our food system, it's not good, folks.
Oh, and they wonder why cancer's spiking everywhere.
Well, yeah, there's a whole lot of things that goes along with that. But regardless of that, you know, that's my personal choice. It's why I even grow my own food. I want quality food.
Right.
I'm not going to pay for food that doesn't have nutrition in it, much less have a bunch of pesticides in it. I'm just not going to do it anymore. That's my choice. Now,
are there any grain?
There are grain producers that don't spray all that stuff. Now, their harvest is not as good. That's fact.
Right.
Nature has a way of putting a balance on things. So, you know, sometimes they don't get as good a harvest as some guy that's spraying. But guess what? That's who I'm going to buy from.
Yeah.
And for that, he has to charge a little more.
Sure he does.
Okay. I'll take that. You know, here's 2 glasses of water. One is full of chemicals and all kinds of noxious stuff and bacterium. And here's a glass of clean spring water that come out of the spring house.
Yeah.
And they put it in a bottle. Now, we got 2 different bottles here. Which one are you going to buy? Though the first one is much cheaper. Does it matter that it's cheaper?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want good.
Yeah.
I don't want cheap. And that goes with a lot of stuff, but food is a big deal, folks.
Yeah.
Because that's how your body runs or doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
right.
You know, you could rage against the system, but, you know, you got to remember this, they're strictly in it for profit.
Right.
You can't throw rocks at them for wanting profit. What I can throw rocks at them is for lying to me and tell me it's safe or new and improved. I ain't going for it.
Sure.
So I grow what I need to grow and do away with what I don't need. And the way my waistline is, I don't need a whole lot of bread anyway, but
Right.
that's beside the point. But my wife makes fantastic bread. We get buy some local Eichhorn bread. That's an old ancient grain. Got some growers around here. You can buy either the whole grains or just ground flour. Now you got to seek these people out, but once you find them, then you got to learn how to make bread.
Yeah.
But artisan bread has really came back. All the sourdough stuff, you never heard people making sourdough anymore. But now it's like an art form, and it is. If you go to the local farmers market, man, there's all kinds of breads there that people are making from these ancient grains.
Right.
And everybody's figuring this out. Not everybody, but a lot of people are.
Sure.
We're just pushing back on the system that's trying to kill us. So, they don't care whether they're
Isn't it funny they're
or,
trying to kill you on one end and then they're going to get you on the other end and say, we can medicate you.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Well,
They're both snake salesmen, snake oil, right?
Yeah, it seems like they want to get you sick so they could pass you off onto the next guy, which is, the doctor or whoever, and
Pharmaceuticals.
And maintenance you for the next 25 years until you're almost dead, and then they want you to sign the house over.
Right.
Holy cow.
Yeah, wow.
That's a bad road to go down. I'm not going to do that. So best thing to do is stay away from the bad foods so you stay healthy. Find the good foods that make you healthy.
Right.
And that's something, 80% of your immune system comes through your gut. You better be putting good stuff in your gut.
Yeah. Stuff
that it actually has nutrition, has all the things that your body needs to heal itself. And it will.
Yeah.
You can't rage against everything, but there are things you can do. And one of them is eat much better. If you think you can go to the local big box grocery store and eat healthy, you're wrong. You're just wrong. All those foods that they're buying from the lowest bidder, contracted out. The farmer has no choice but to grow as they say, and it can't have a blemish on it. So the only way to keep that from happening is, spray the crap out of it. So you can't blame those people for running a profitable business, but you don't have to give them your money.
Right.
You're far better off buying your tomatoes from the guy down the road that's got the little sign up in his yard saying, tomatoes for sale or corn for sale, That was a big thing when I was a kid. Everybody did that. They'd pull a hay wagon out to the end of the road and set it up, and, in an hour's time, he was sold out. Why? Because it was good.
Right.
And people did a lot more canning back then, but, that's coming back. I've done enough shows and enough classes and things that I see people are going, you're right, our food system is broken as far as nutrition, as far as quality. Even the fruit that we get, I don't see the quality in the fruit anymore. Like tangerines, that was my favorite thing as a kid, a tangerine, and they'd be big as a baseball. Well, now they call them cuties.
Yeah, they're
those used to be
golf ball.
Yeah, they used to be thrown away. Well, our premium fruits are going somewhere. They're not coming to local grocery stores anymore. So you just have to switch up. You may have to not buy tangerines. You may have to grow your own apples, plums, grapes, whatever. But you need that. You need that type of nutrition, the vitamin C, all those things you still need. A lot of them you can grow. A lot of them you just substitute.
Right. Now, some of these, and you were talking about trees earlier at like Home Depot. You're going to get a tree. It's not going to produce for a couple years potentially, right?
Right. Most of the time it takes about 3 to 5 years to get any fruit at all off a tree. Well, if you look, the size of those trees, there's some of them are 1 inch caliper, 1 inch thick.
Right.
Well, that's a 3-year-old tree right off the bat. That's real good. So you only may have to wait 2 years.
Right.
Now, having your own fruit trees means having to maintenance them too.
Right, sure.
Now, if you could follow what the orchard does and spray the crap out of them with all these chemicals that have a name that's about 3 inches long, when
Right.
you look at the look at the label, or you can do it with some natural stuff. There is some things that are, biodegradable, non-toxic, that kind of stuff. But you're still going to have to learn how to prune that tree, you feed that tree, and all those things to keep that tree as healthy as you can make it, so you get good produce from it.
Right. So knowing that we're going to potentially have a couple more little freezing snaps, and spring is around the corner, would now be a good time to plant it, or would you maybe buy it and reserve it, set it aside? What would be the best?
Well, right now they're dormant.
Okay.
The trees you're looking at one of the box stores or an orchard, wherever you're buying them from, the buds are starting to swell, but the tree is still in its dormancy.
Okay.
A couple of these warm days, kind of speeds things up. The old people would say they're not going to bloom until you get a thunderstorm. Well, sometimes thunderstorms came late. So, you know what they did? Took a piece of newspaper, rolled it up tight, and whacked the stem of the tree. It puts that vibration through the tree and causes it to think it's like
you're kidding.
thunder.
Oh
I'm
my
not
gosh.
kidding. And sure as the world, within a week's time, you will see the buds really start to swell and accelerate. Is that folklore? It might be, but
Right.
I'm just telling you, I can remember some
Like
of the older
smacking
guys.
a baby, huh?
Yeah,
Getting it to cry.
Jump starting it, wake up here. Kids don't wake up in the morning. You wrap them with a magazine and you get out of the bed. Same principle, I suppose.
Yeah.
But this spring, for this weather we're having, is not really what we typically ever have, and our weather is no longer typical.
Right.
So
noticed
you know
that.
you have to take your chances. Last year we lost our entire fruit crop just because of that late frost we have.
Right.
Killed all the blooms, all the ones that had already bloomed with the little baby pears and apples on it. It was just too cold and they just fell off.
Right.
And we didn't have hardly nothing. Had a few apples that were late bloomers. Got some apples off it, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And that's farming 101. You know, nothing seems to hit just right. Plantings, I do a fall planting in the fields, to increase the varieties in our pastures. And I think we did it in September. We had no rain, absolutely no rain through like September and October. It was really warm, so the ground was just too dry, and the seeds just didn't germinate well.
Yeah.
And what did dried back out and died anyway. So that was kind of a bust. Well, seems like that's pretty normal, but you got one or two choices: lay down and die, or get up, brush the dirt off your knees, and do it again.
Right.
That's just where we're at.
Yeah.
But back to getting the spring started here. Don't let spring fever get a hold of you too bad. You don't want to be planting your seeds and things out into the garden,
Right.
And then have them frost out. Potatoes. A lot of people get 2 weeks of good, decent weather, and they want to plant the potatoes. Well, I've had that happen, and then the frost comes along, kills it, and knocks you back 2 months, and you end up with no potatoes. Is what happens there. But so don't let spring get ahead of you. You can start things inside. They tend to stretch out this time of year when you start them inside because you're not getting the full sunlight, the correct amount of sunlight, and the sunlight this time of year is it's called phototropism. Them plants know that I need this amount of red light and this amount of blue light. And everything triggers by that. So if you plant them too early and you're getting too much blue light in the spring, they just stretch out. If they get too much red light, they stretch out. So there's that happy medium, and you can't circumvent, which took millions of years to develop.
Right.
So, play the game just how the rules say to play the game. Now, you can start that stuff inside and get it going, but then you're going to have to repot because you're ahead of the game. So the plants are getting bigger. Your little tiny pot that you started in, or a seed tray, you don't want it to get root bound. If it gets root bound, the plant's not going to develop well later and not going to get out the fruit. So you can see it's kind of detrimental. Now, if you absolutely have to plant something, plant some flowers. If you want to see green just for your psychological effects, and I love my greenhouse.
Right.
There's something about going in there when there's snow on the ground and things are just growing like crazy and it's 85 degrees in the greenhouse and there's snow on the ground. You go, I kind of like this. There's something good about that.
Sure.
So you want to have your ducks in a row. If you plan to plant early in a seed tray where the little plant doesn't have much room to grow, but enough to get it started, you're going to have a little bigger pot. The little trays are, inch and a half by inch and a half. The root system will fill that up pretty quick. So you're going to have to repot them into, say, a 4-inch pot. If that's what you want to do and that makes you happy, great. But you have to do it, because if you don't, all that work's wasted. You end up with a root-bound plant that's not going to produce for you. So keep that in mind. Spring fever, it'll work on you. Like I said, planting too early will double your work. Got a little note here, and that's what it says. It doubles your work. Now, whether you have to replant because it frosted, your greenhouse got too warm, too cool, something's going to happen, double your work. Or you got to repot. I don't care. That's still double your work.
Sure.
If you don't care, you don't mind doing it, go for it. Because you might hit good.
Right.
You might have nice mild weather and everything takes off, and all of a sudden you have plants 3 times the size as everybody else. But, you may be way ahead of the game. Odds are 50-50.
Right.
All right. Virginia weather is getting, like I said, real unpredictable. They actually moved the last frost date forward 2 weeks this year. I think it was April 15th is usually the last frost date. Now it's April 27th, however that math works out. So they realize we're unpredictable. So they moved it ahead.
Okay.
Farmer's Almanac. You ever seen a Farmer's Almanac? They don't produce that anymore.
No.
Isn't that a shame? Yep.
No.
Last year was the last year of the Farmer's Almanac.
What in the world?
Because people don't farm no more. Not like that.
Right. True. I imagine there's a fair amount of money that goes into prepping that thing.
Well, it was a huge magazine at one time. And readership has gone down, and the people that advertised in those magazines also realized that. So the dollar value wasn't there, and that's what happened. Advertising dollars left, and that was the end of the magazine. Wow. So now you got to depend on old guys like me. Boy, are you in trouble. Cold crops. This is the time of year for the cold crops. If you're going to plant something that can survive a cool night, 3 or 4 in a row. Cold crops being broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, those are all cold crops, and that's spelled C-O-L-E, not C-O-L-D.
Okay.
Cold crops. They can actually handle a frost. Let's say you put it out in a little bit of frost, and they're 6-8 inches high and got their second or third set of leaves. They can actually survive that.
Right.
Now, they can't survive a deep freeze. They just won't take it, and you may have to start all over again.
Yeah.
When you're watering your plants, don't water in the evening. It doesn't give the leaf surface a chance to dry, and that sets up a scenario in which bacteria can get on your leaf surface and ruin the whole crop. Bacteria and fungus and all that stuff, they like it moisture at a certain temperature at night.
Right.
So if you water in the evening, you're setting yourself up for a fungus infection or some type of bacteria to get up. Stem wilt, that happens to a lot of small plants, seedlings when they first pop out, makes the stems very weak, and next thing you know, they're just dead. They fall over. They turn all clear looking and go plop. That's the end of that. So water in the mornings. And it doesn't hurt a plant to dry out between waterings. No, I don't mean bone dry. I just mean it's not soggy. If your soil is soggy in your little planting tray, don't water it. Just because that's a routine of you're going to water in the morning every morning before you go to work. But if it's still moist, it does need watering.
Okay.
So, stick your finger in there. If it's moist in there, don't water it.
Right.
That allows oxygen into those root systems.
Okay.
Or else they'll drown. Little plant will drown just like anybody else. If we run into a cooling spell and you've already started your seeds, they make these little heat mats that you can put under the plant, because that root system has to be a certain temperature or it just sits there. They need 55 to 60 degrees at a minimum for the root germination or root propagation or the germination of the seeds, period.
Okay.
So if you got seeds that have been sitting there for 2 weeks and you go, wonder what's wrong? Well, they probably started out by cracking open and the little root tip comes out, got too cold, and that's where they sat.
Okay.
Well, guess what happens? It'll rot. And you may have to dig down, find that seed, and go, is this seed still viable or did it rot and I got to start all over? Larger seeds are obviously easier to see, like a cucumber seed. That's a fairly large seed. And you'll see them sometimes. The little tip will come out and just rot right into the ground.
Wow.
So a good cure for that is one of these seed mats that actually heats the whole tray up. Now, you know what I mean by a seed tray. That's about a 16 by 23 inch tray that you see at one of the big box stores that all the little plants come in. All right, well, they make a mat that size. So, and they're only like 150 watt. They don't use a whole lot.
Right.
But they keep the temperature in that
decent,
in that range where your plants can germinate.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with that and you want to continue to plant seeds every year, invest in a couple of these things. They're fairly inexpensive, and once your plants are up and growing and the temperature change, you just pack them away for the next year.
Yeah.
But they definitely help.
Okay.
If you ever tried to start sweet potato slips will not start until it's nice and warm. They're just, they like the Carolina weather down there, where it's 70 degrees,
right.
At this time of year, it's hitting the 70s down there. So they like it warm. So,
okay.
And these things, some of them that you can buy actually have an adjustable temperature. If you were going to do sweet potatoes to get them to start all those slips, you crank that thing up to 75, 80 degrees, really warm temperatures, So that's a little tip for you if you're starting a lot of seeds.
Yeah.
Do you know what the pH is of your starting mix? Most of the time when you buy a pre-mix, a potting soil mix or a seed starter mix, it'll tell you. It'll say 7.0, which is perfectly neutral. And that's good because you don't want it to be acidic or burn a little feet on these seeds coming out. You don't want it to go the other way, or it burns it from that direction, being too acidic or too low a pH. Same way with your garden. I mean, you should have probably took a test sample and already gotten your test results back. You know, I talked about that about 2 weeks ago. Send off a sample to see what your garden is sitting at right now. You may have to amend it to bring it the pH up or to lower it. If you get it too high of pH, too alkaline, you'll have to reduce it. So you need to know where that pH is. Now, everything's got a pH range. Some like 6.8 to 7, some like 7 to 7.2. Know what you're planting and what the requirements of it are. Blueberries. You ever had anybody try to grow blueberries? They're the most cantankerous thing.
I remember you've said that in other shows, yeah.
They like it down around 5.8 to 6. That's pretty acidic.
Yeah.
But most soils in a garden are not going to be that. And so they plop these plants down in there and they go, why won't this thing grow? Well, it don't like your soil.
Right.
So knowing your pH for your garden, you go, I probably shouldn't plant my blueberries there because it's just the pH too high.
Right.
So it's critical to know that. And you can adjust and amend it. And there's all kinds of information online how to do that, what to do. Do everything on amendments slowly, a little bit at a time. Watch it react. Check it again if you have to, but don't go crazy. If it says put on a little lime, don't put on 10 buckets because it may screw the whole shooting match up. You want it to be able to catch up slowly.
Sure.
Knowing a little bit more about soils, living soils. We've talked about that now for several years. There is so much online right now about living soils, and that's pretty much all you got to type in, and it'll start talking about what that means. The biome, the stuff that you can't see. That's why I don't like spraying, because there's just as many living creatures under the soil as you see on top of the soil.
Right.
In fact, way more. And they all mean something. They all have a job to do. And if your soils have been sprayed and pesticide, and you've killed the very thing that makes your garden prolific and abundant.
Right.
It was a design, folks. It was a design to make us abundant. And you can't short circuit that with a bunch of chemicals. Fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, they may do okay, but they also do damage. They're a salt, not in the salt as in table salt, but they form salts because they're made out of petroleum, and they've learned how to get nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus out of these chemicals, and it does make the plants grow, but it wipes out
at a cost.
It wipes out the natural biome because it has the salt built up in it for 10 years, and all of a sudden the plant won't uptake certain minerals because of that salt. It just blocks it.
Yeah.
Not to mention killing the living soil, all the bacteria, all the fungi, they just can't grow in that. I mean, you can't take salt water from the ocean, dump it on your plant and think it's going to live.
Right.
It was water, yes, but there was a salt in it that plants can't handle. Some plants around the ocean like it, but you're not growing seaweed in your garden.
Right. Exactly.
You're growing zucchinis and tomatoes, and they don't like that chemical salts that are built up in your soil. Here's the good side. If you start introducing new bacteria at a rate that can clean up that soil, there's so many different microbes that you can put into the soil that are supposed to be there, like 2,800 different varieties. Mm-hmm. They actually can clean that soil back up, but you got to stop dumping stuff in there.
Right.
They can only do so much,
right,
you know.
Sure.
It's like sitting at a factory table and you're working away and somebody comes and dumps another pallet at your table. You go, that's too much. I can't get that done. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the way these bacteria are.
Yeah.
They can only do so much. So you have to help them out by not dumping more work on them than they can handle. Mm. They will eventually take care of it if you feed them right.
Right.
Treat them right, mm-hmm. and get them into the soils again. And there's a good book. It's called Dirt to Soil. There's a big difference between dirt and soil.
Right.
Dirt is just dirt, red Virginia clay.
Right.
Not a whole lot of activity going on there. Soil is something living. It has carbon in it. It has all the stuff mm-hmm. that nature has intended to make things grow like crazy. And if you want a good example of it, just look in the woods. Mm. That's set up. Nobody's fertilizing. Nobody's tending it. And look at the size of the plants. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, you know, you need that education on how to grow. And if you want to know how to grow, look at the woods and see how the woods does it. Yeah. There is a symbiotic relationship going on in the woods that is how you should be doing your garden. Mm-hmm. So, you know, spring of the year, this is when you should be doing a lot of education of yourself.
Right.
So you know what's happening. You know, everybody, why did my tomatoes suddenly, you know, just crap out on me? Well, why is the bottoms rotting on my tomato? Well, a lot of it is just nutrient deficiency or too much watering, but you got to be able to recognize all this stuff. So gathering up a couple little gardening books and we're going online and just continually reading. We don't do that. We scroll.
Right.
Quit scrolling. Stop on one of those. And you don't have to read it anymore neither. The guy will talk you through it. You know?
Read it for you.
Yeah, and it's got pictures and examples and stuff. And I pretty much spent the whole weekend, because it was such a crappy weekend, of just researching a bunch of stuff. Some of the older varieties, heirloom stuff, nutrition. Come across sea buckthorn. You ever hear of that?
No, I have not. No.
It's a little scrubby plant. It's got thorns all over it, but it's got these little orange berries on it that is 30 times more vitamin C than an orange.
Really?
30 times.
Wow. Jeez.
Now, it grew wild, but most people mowed them down because they got thorns on them.
Right.
Now, you would think anything that's got that kind of nutrient in it, they would have tried to develop and plant it. Well, they're real hard to harvest. So what do you think Big Ag said? Mow that stuff down.
Oh, yeah.
We'll plant orange groves. Well, okay. But anyway, that's just an example of just finding a little golden nugget in amongst this information. And so I ordered a couple of them. Mm-hmm. I'll just have them to the side of my garden. And, you know, I figured out how they used to do it to get that kind of nutrients just is not in nature very much. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of these plants that we have no idea that at one time fed the whole country.
Right.
There's an aerial potato. Did you know that? It grows on a vine, and it puts out a potato about the size, I don't know, of a golf ball. That's all the bigger they get.
Okay.
And I forget what the genus name of it is, but you know, it was just impractical because they didn't grow big enough or enough from one plant to make them commercial.
Okay.
So, you know,
got nixed.
Yeah, so they nixed that, even though they grew wild and didn't need any fertilizer because they were a vine. But at any rate,
interesting.
So it's all about learning. If you think you're going to know it all, You're wrong. You will constantly run into, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Wow, check that out. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been doing this for 50 years. I just told you I had a wow, check this out moment this past weekend.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for 50 years, so don't think you're going to run out of subjects here. I can guarantee you that. I told you about that dirt to soil.
Yes.
There's 100 books out there about it now. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of vendors now that are bringing back some of the older varieties of everything, and you'll find that the older varieties may not be as big, but the one common factor is they're all more nutritious. So I'm going, okay, maybe I don't have an ear of corn that is 14 inches long and big around as a baseball bat, but it has 3 times the flavor, 3 times the nutrition, doesn't take as much nutrient to grow it, and it's heirloom, and I don't ever have to buy seeds again. That thing right there, just the heirloom, is why heirloom seeds never took off, because big ag can't make any money if you're not going to come back next week and buy more, more fertilizer.
We've
more
even seen
pesticide.
that with items. In other words, that thing lasted 25 years and the company went bankrupt. And then somebody scratched their head and said, well, we got to make it only last 5 years or we're not going to survive.
Cars are the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it's
7-year lifespan is all they get out of. Refrigerators, oh my gosh. You can't buy the parts for the refrigerator anymore.
Right.
You used to be able to, buy the little circuit board if that went bad, buy a compressor. None of it. You can't buy none of it. These big $2,000, $3,000 refrigerators, if something goes bad on them, you cannot get a part for it.
It's like disposable.
At
that kind of rate, at that money price point, that's crazy.
At that price point, that's crazy, but they do not care.
Right.
You know why?
They don't.
Because you'll whip out that credit card and buy another one.
Yep.
You see them online at the, marketplace here, marketplace there. You swap and shop, all that kind of stuff. All these really nice refrigerators used to work.
Right.
It's something small that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't get the part.
Right.
Can you imagine that, sitting out in your garage knowing
I
just spent $3,000?
You and I just took my old dryer that was 20 years old, and you were kind enough to put the heating element kit in there and it was only $35 for the heating element. 20 years old, I could maybe get another 10 years out of it, and the guy told me and this is the one we kept in the basement because you helped me remodel my main level where we moved the new washer dryer up there, and the guy was saying at Lowe's, so you got Kenmore's? I said, yeah, they're 20 years old. And he goes, yeah, don't expect these to last that long.
Yeah, and laughed about it. Laughed right in the face.
Right.
You know how much I just paid for that thing?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
5 years, maybe 6.
It's just
that's just where
it's
we're
pitiful. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But they didn't ask our opinion.
Right.
They just want our money. Shut up, pat them on the head, and go on down the road, buy it again. I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say it. I got a refrigerator that's 30 years old.
Right.
It looks like 30 years old.
Right.
It's a little beat up, but my wife won't give it up.
Yeah.
She just will not. She said, I'm not going to get that other crap.
Right.
I know I'm going to be replacing it, and this one works good. It may have a scratch and dent in it, but it's clunking right along.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to change it out until I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably try to fix it. But regardless of that,
maybe we could do on a future show some of the, if you can find it used, get it, grab it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it'll last you maybe the rest of your life.
There's a lot of people, a lot of older people too. They don't use and abuse their stuff too much.
Right.
But the wife says, "I want a new dryer because this one's got a scratch in it or a few scratches." If you can get a hold of that Kenmore, you go, well, that's a good one just to hold on to,
right?
Because it's not going to be about a $50 or $100 as opposed to a new one. It's $1,100,
right?
You go, well, yeah, maybe I'll do that. My mother had a Philco refrigerator.
Wow,
Philco,
yeah,
the one that had the dangerous locking mechanism that kids would climb in and.
Oh, mercy.
I'm thinking that was siblings trying to get rid of their other siblings.
Right,
is
sure.
How that all got started.
Get the inheritance.
But, yeah, that was probably at my house. But that old Philco was 40 years old when she got it.
Wow.
She moved to Virginia, brought it with her, had it down here for 30-some years, and we ended up selling it to a neighbor that he puts his milk in.
Okay.
You know, he had a little milk cow.
Yeah.
It's just indestructible.
Something? Yeah.
Where are you going to buy anything like that?
Yeah.
You just can't. You just have to find something and repair it, and now you have something.
Right.
Because this other stuff is just not worth its money. But that was a long way from planting a garden. But
well,
it's the same thing, folks. We were talking about the heirloom. Heirloom stuff is a little different. It's not going to have the same exact characteristics, but tomato's going to taste like a tomato.
Right.
It may not be the giant 2.5-pound tomato, but who cares? That won't fit on a sandwich anyway.
That's right.
So think about you doing heirloom where you do not have to continue buying seeds. And how much are seeds this year?
I don't know, but you said they went up.
Yep, they're up over $4 a pack, and there's only 25 seeds, 25 tomato seeds.
Yeah,
I mean, you used to buy a pack, 99-cent pack, and that was probably 15 years ago. But 99-cent pack, and that thing had 2 spoonfuls in it. Enough for 5 years.
It's like they didn't even count them. They just said,
they just did it by volume. A guy probably had a teaspoon right out of his coffee cup and dipping it in there, but now greed is kind of taken over. So there's a whole lot of things that we need to grow for ourselves and quit throwing your money away on something that has no nutrition in it. That's my whole point.
Right.
Why am I paying that kind of money for something that does not even have the nutrition that I want for my body that I need? Now, there's needs and wants, and the need part is the nutrition that I need for my body, for my immune system. And if it's not there, what are you buying it for?
Yeah.
The other flip side is that no nutrition, no taste. Oh, apples. I haven't bought a store-bought apple in years because there is no taste. Now, an apple when you bite into it, should have all kinds of complex flavors and sugars to them, and it should run down your elbow. Same way with a peach. You bite a peach now, it's hard as a rock because they picked it too early, because it ships better, it stores better.
Right.
But there's no nutrition there. So, why are you doing that? Give us somebody that's already growing. If you don't want to grow a peach tree in your backyard or an apple, go find somebody that is. Volunteer to help him prune his trees, clean up around that tree every year. You do that spring and fall.
Sure.
And share in that peach that when you bite it, the juice just runs down to your elbow. That's your test. And if it doesn't, you picked it too early. So you'll have a far better product if you let things ripen as they should. Now, granted, they're not going to store as well, but who cares? I'm going to eat it that way anyway.
Right.
So it'll be gone before that ever happens. Go ahead.
You mentioned heirlooms a couple times, and I start Googling stuff.
Right.
So I went on Amazon, and there's like a whole host. Can you guide and direct us? Because I'm looking at a page that's got, literally 100 different types of heirloom, and then there's 7 more pages after that. So any guidance on what we might, because they range, Glenn, from $5 a pack for 750 seeds, quote unquote, to these multi-packs for $38 that have, it looks like, 40 different kinds of seeds. What's a good, guide?
Okay, when you're buying them, an heirloom, you have to kind of try them out. Do I like that tomato variety because it's heirloom? Do I like that corn variety because it's heirloom? So it may have a characteristic that you don't care for,
right?
But there are other varieties of heirloom stuff, and you may have to try them until you find it. But once you find it, and you start saving your seeds from your best part of that crop. I mean, you don't want to wait till the end of the year and go, I need to save seeds and I'm going to take it off this little scrubby tomato. No, take it off the best tomato you got.
Right.
Mark it, put a flag on it going, that is a beautiful tomato.
Right.
I've tried them when they get this size and they're perfect. So you would flag that. So let it be totally mature when you pick it, so the seeds are mature.
Right.
And those are the seeds you save. And from that day on, you don't have to buy none anymore. Same way with about anything, squash, any of those. Some of the squash that you see started out as a kind of a hard squash, like zucchini was never this nice, tender squash. It started out a little harder. Well, they've developed that into a much different variety of squash. Now the skins are very thin, very tender, and they pick them very early. They hybridized them with something else that caused that characteristic to be a soft skin, but you can never get back to the original. So when you buy heirloom squash, you have to grow it 1 year to say, do I want to save these seeds? And if it turned out something good, obviously you'd want to save the seeds, and you won't have to buy them no more.
And when you save a seed, you're setting it aside. You're drying it out basically.
Oh, there's a whole
thing.
Show? Yeah, that's a whole other thing on seed saving.
Right.
I mean, tomatoes, you actually have to wash the seeds to get that jelly off of them, or they'll rot.
Okay, gotcha.
Cucumbers, that's another one that has a little jelly around it. You have to wash that seed, dry it, and store it properly. So that's a whole nother subject. But
so maybe even with some of these kits, they give you some of those instructions, I would guess.
I'm sure if you're going to spend that kind of money, you're going to get a little packet that tells you how to do all that.
Right.
There's little booklets and things that you can buy, $3, $4 online.
Okay.
Read about it until you got it down. Print it out on your computer, whatever you got to do to keep that knowledge available to you, and not in your phone.
Yeah.
That phone could go away, folks, so fast.
Right. And we have to come around to this every time we do one of these because it's just the reality on the ground.
We're so close to something happen.
Yeah.
I could say, it's Civil War, or, we're going to just terrorist attack.
On this day that we're recording this, Glenn, we're on the verge of possible war with Iran, which could have all kinds of implications. We have got down south of our border, currently, I don't know if you saw the news today about they killed a cartel leader, and now all hell's breaking loose. And American citizens, if they're in those particular cities, they're running for safety. It's.
If you can't see it by now, folks, I can't help you. You're an idiot.
And that's just skimming two little stories right there.
There's just a list of threats a mile long.
Right.
I don't care which one you believe. Just pick one and go, what's that mean for me?
Right.
And once you do that, then you go, okay, well, what's my priority here? Well, food, water, and shelter. I'm here trying to tell you how to grow some food because you're going to need it.
Right.
I can't help you a whole lot with water. Some. I've done shows on it, but you have to do these things.
Right.
I can't grow your food for you.
Sure.
And you can't have mine.
Right.
That's the whole premise of prepping here is, I'll help you, but you can't have mine.
Yeah.
And in that day, I'm going to tell you no. And if you argue about it, I'm going to be mad. And you're going to be mad. And what do you think happens after that? Well, let's not do that. Let's work together so you don't even have to ask.
Right.
But the only thing you should have to ask is, you need some extra corn because I've got a bunch.
I've got some, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's where I'd want you to be. That's where I want your neighbors to be. That's where I'd want all of you to be, because the truck may stop tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And let me clear, because I always want to be accurate here. The United States State Department had offered $15 million for the capture of this particular cartel member, and it looks like the Mexican Defense Ministry said in a statement that we planned and executed something with special forces. So I guess, they were the ones that did it. Now, I assume we'll probably pay them in some fashion for taking the guy out. I don't know, but,
Mexico was after him. The Mexican government was after this guy.
Right, because he was like the head.
You know why? He shot down one of their helicopters. Jeez. With what? Anti-aircraft guns. Yeah. Now, these are not guys running around with machetes.
No.
These are
You're right.
Paramilitary drug dealers. Mm-hmm. Figure it out. They are ruthless. Mm-hmm. And it's all about the money.
Yeah.
Follow the money, follow the evil. Mm. So that's where we're at. And it's just another form of threat.
Right.
Just safeguard yourself. We've done enough shows for you to figure out that you don't want to be in this mess.
Right.
You don't want to have to leave your house to go find food.
Right.
I'd suggest you grow some. Water, same thing.
I have to. We'll do this at another time. But I watched a video of the guy that used to do bug outs. Now he does bug ins.
Oh yeah.
He's a former Army or a Navy SEAL rather, and wrote a book about how to go. Basically he says same thing. 3 things: water, food, shelter. Water, food, shelter. Watched an hour-long video. He must have said that 10 times.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Water, food, shelter. That's what's important.
They keep copying us.
Yeah, I know. I know. And,
it's not that we're so genius. It's just I said it first. You know, I've been saying it for 10 years now. Same thing. Well, some of these guys are going, "Yep, that's right."
And don't go out and brag about what you got.
Yeah,
you put a target on yourself.
Oh, there's a million things that you need to do for your security. You know, guns and ammo and all that stuff. I get all of that, but you're far better off having a community to protect each other than you are to being a lone wolf, thinking that you can do it all by yourself. Because you're going to have a hole in your plan. Mm-hmm. You ain't that smart to start with, so you're not a surgeon. You can't fix your own cuts and lacerations. Mm-hmm. It's hard to sew up a hand one-handed. If the left hand's cut, it's how are you going to sew it up one-handed?
True.
Ask me how I know.
Oh gosh,
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say it was easy? No, it was darn difficult. But I sewed up my own hand.
Yeah.
There's a million things that can make you sick. Mm-hmm. Do you know all the remedies and have them at your fingertips? Do you know all the herbal remedies that are out there that if you can't get to the pharmacy or there is no pharmacy.
Or there is none, right?
Right. There's a great book out. It's called Where There Is No Doctor. Mm. And it's talking about like in the Amazon where these missionaries would go. There's no doctors out there. Mm-hmm. So they fixed themselves. And what they found out was all the locals, they all knew what all the plants were to go, I got something to kill that infection right now. And they go and get something.
Get the root of it.
Whatever it was. Mm-hmm. They used a root for fishing. They would smash this root, put it in a river, and let that juice from that root stun the fish, and they would just go down and get a whole basket full of fish. They didn't spend all day fishing. He went down there in 10 minutes, come back with a basket full.
Sure.
So it's all about the knowledge, and I'm just saying we're not smart enough to be able to have all the knowledge that we need. Absolutely. So you need other people. I mean, who can fix their own car nowadays?
I know.
In fact, and some of that stuff, it's illegal for you to even mess with.
Yeah.
You touch it, you voided your warranty.
Yep.
I think John Deere is going through a big thing about that, where if you fix anything on it, it voids your warranty.
How about that?
And they got a lawsuit on that, I think. It's like right to repair law or something they're trying to get out. But
something in the fine print.
Yeah, but I mean, things gotten complicated when it comes to vehicles. and it's just hard to repair. You need that guy that goes, oh, I've seen this before. You know, he knows it right off the bat, and you know, he don't have to go to his computer to figure it out. That's the kind of people you want in your circle,
right?
People with knowledge.
Sure.
All these protesters out there that are just, oh gosh, they're done. They're toast.
Yeah.
You know, they're still living in their mama's basement. They're done.
Yeah.
And make no mistakes, they're still going to be a problem.
Sure.
For a while.
For a while.
Until they drink out of some river that's contaminated with with something, and you know, that's the end of them.
That's the end of them.
Don't be one of them people.
Right. Well, that's I think a good place to end. Don't be one of them people.
Don't get dead.
Don't get dead. Well, Glenn, as always, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we'll do this again coming up, and we will have a topic that is relevant like this one was, and we'll see next go around, my friend.
All right.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.